They paid for my sister's luxury life and told me to figure it out on my own. Now that her fake success collapsed, they want me to save them. This isn't just family drama. It's a revenge story about favoritism, financial betrayal, and the hard truth that sometimes justice means letting people face the consequences they avoided for years. My mother stood on my doorstep, tears streaming down her face, asking for a check that would wipe out my savings to fix my sister's mistakes. It was funny, really, because the last time I saw those tears, they were tears of joy over Maya's perfect life, the same life that had just completely destroyed our family. My name is Lillian Sanders, and they spent years ignoring me to fund her luxury, and now they want me to pay the bill. She looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe it was the rain soaking through her beige trench coat, or maybe it was the way her shoulders hunched under the weight of a reality she had spent 3 decades ignoring. My apartment building has a doorman, a strict guest policy, and a lobby that smells like white tea and old money. My mother, Susan Sanders, looked like an intruder here. I didn't invite her in immediately. I just leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms over my silk blouse. "Lillian, please," she choked out, clutching a damp leather handbag that I recognized. It was a Chanel. Maya had bought it for her 2 Christmases ago. I knew now, of course, that Maya hadn't actually paid for it. Or rather, she had paid for it with money that didn't exist. "We're going to lose the house," she whispered. "Everything. Your father can't breathe. He's sitting in the car right now because he's too ashamed to come up." I looked past her, down the hallway. I felt a cold, hard knot in my stomach. It wasn't sympathy. It was something closer to validation, mixed with a bitter, ancient anger. "How much?" I asked. My voice was steady. It was the voice I used in boardrooms when a founder tried to overinflate their valuation. She swallowed hard. $400,000, just to stop the immediate seizure. The total is over $1 million. I let out a short, dry laugh. It echoed in the hallway. $1 million. They wanted me to write a check for $1 million because my sister, the golden child, the prodigy, the family mascot, had finally run out of road. I stepped back and opened the door wide enough for her to enter. Not because I was going to help, but because I needed to hear the full story. I needed to see the autopsy of the dynamic that had defined my entire existence. "Come in," I said, "but don't get your hopes up." To understand why I let her in and why I eventually did what I did, you have to understand the Sanders family ecosystem. Growing up, Maya was the sun, and we were all just planets desperate to stay in her orbit. She was 2 years younger than me, blonde, charismatic, and academically average. But to my parents, she was Einstein and Marilyn Monroe rolled into one. If Maya drew a stick figure, my mother framed it. If Maya got a C in math, the teacher was incompetent. I, on the other hand, was Lillian. Just Lillian. Dark hair, serious eyes, quiet. I got straight A's, but they were expected, not celebrated. When I made the varsity debate team, my father forgot to pick me up from the tournament because he was busy driving Maya to a modeling audition that turned out to be a scam. The financial favoritism started early. Maya needed the newest clothes to fit in. Maya needed a car at 16 because her social calendar was so busy. I walked to school. I wore thrift store clothes that I altered myself on a sewing machine I bought with babysitting money. The real break happened when it was time for college. I got into a prestigious business program out of state. It was my dream. I laid the acceptance letter on the kitchen table during dinner, my heart hammering against my ribs. My father, Robert, picked it up, scanned it, and put it back down. "We can't afford this, Lillian," he said, not even looking me in the eye. He was cutting his steak. "Maya wants to go to that private liberal arts college near the coast. The tuition is steep. We have to prioritize. Her aptitude tests show she's a creative genius. We can't stifle that." I remember staring at him. "You have a college fund. You've talked about it for years." "That's for the family," my mother interjected, pouring gravy over Maya's potatoes. "And right now, the family resources need to go where they'll have the most impact. You're smart, Lillian. You can figure it out. Community college is fine for business. It's all just numbers anyway." That was the moment I stopped being their daughter and started being their observer. I didn't go to community college. I took out loans. I worked 3 jobs: barista at 5 a.m., library assistant during the day, bartender at night. I slept 4 hours a night for 4 years. I missed parties. I missed holidays. When I graduated summa cum laude, my parents didn't come to the ceremony. They were in Italy. Maya had wanted to do a study abroad summer, which was really just her drinking wine on the Amalfi Coast, and they decided to go visit her for a few weeks. They sent me a card. It had a $20 bill inside. After graduation, I moved to the city. I ate instant noodles and worked 80-hour weeks as an analyst at a boutique investment firm. I was ruthless. I had to be. I had no safety net. If I failed, I would be homeless. There was no bedroom waiting for me back at the Sanders house. That had been turned into Maya's content studio. Fast forward 7 years. I am a partner at a venture capital firm. I specialize in distressed assets and tech startups. I have a net worth my parents couldn't comprehend. But they didn't know that. To them, I was just Lillian, who worked with computers and was probably struggling because I didn't post flashy photos on Instagram. And Maya? Maya was an influencer. She had about 50,000 followers, bought and paid for. She posted photos of unboxing luxury goods, staying in 5-star hotels, and driving leased luxury cars. My parents were her biggest fans. They commented on every post. "So proud of our successful girl, living the dream." They never asked where the money came from. They assumed she was making millions from brand deals. They blinded themselves to reality because Maya's fake success validated their parenting. They could point to her and say, "Look, we made that." But the math never works out forever. That brings us back to my living room. My mother was sitting on my white sectional, shivering. I poured her a glass of water, not wine. I wanted her sober for this. "Tell me exactly what happened," I said, sitting in the armchair opposite her. She took a shaky breath. Maya has been in trouble for a while. She had credit cards, a lot of them. She told us she was using them for business expenses that the brands would reimburse her." "And you believed that?" I asked. "She's your sister, Lillian. She has a vision," my mother snapped, falling back into old habits before remembering she was begging me for money. She needed capital to maintain her image. It's part of the job." "Go on." She maxed them out. Then she took out personal loans. Then, my mother looked down at her hands. Then she came to us 3 years ago. She said she needed a bridge loan for a clothing line she was launching. We gave her $50,000 from our retirement. I didn't blink. And the clothing line? There were supply chain issues. It never launched. I knew supply chain issues meant Maya spent the money on a trip to Dubai and a new wardrobe. "And then?" I pressed. "Then she needed more. She said the investors required matching funds. We took out a second mortgage, then a third. We co-signed a business line of credit." I closed my eyes for a second. They had leveraged their entire existence. "Last month, the house of cards collapsed," my mother whispered. "The bank called. The line of credit is in default. The mortgage hasn't been paid in 6 months. Maya was intercepting the mail so we wouldn't see the notices. We found out when the sheriff taped a foreclosure notice to the front door yesterday. And where is Maya? She's at a retreat. She's too fragile to handle this right now. She's having a mental health crisis." I nearly threw my glass against the wall. A retreat. Maya was hiding at a spa while her elderly parents were being evicted. "And you want me to do what exactly?" I asked, my voice dangerously low. "Pay it off, Lillian." My mother looked at me with wide, pleading eyes. "We know you do well. We've seen your address. We know you don't have a husband or kids draining your finances. You have to have savings. If you pay the arrears and the credit line, we can restructure. We can save the house." "It's your childhood home." "It's the house where I lived in the attic while Maya had the master suite," I corrected her. "Lillian, please. We are family." I stood up and walked to the window. The city lights were blurring in the rain. I had the money. I could write that check and not even dip into my investment portfolio. I could save them. But then I thought about the girl who walked to school in the snow because Maya needed the car. I thought about the college tuition they denied me. I thought about the $20 graduation gift. "I'll make you a deal," I said, turning back to her. "Anything," she sobbed. "I need to see the books. Everything. I want access to your bank accounts, Maya's business accounts, the mortgage statements, and the credit card bills. I need to see the full extent of the damage before I make a decision." "We can bring them tomorrow." "No. Now. Call Dad. Tell him to bring the box of papers I know he keeps in his office. Tell him to come up here." My father came up 10 minutes later. He looked aged, defeated. He didn't hug me, he just nodded and placed a heavy banker's box on my coffee table. For the next 4 hours, I audited my family's destruction. It was worse than I thought. It wasn't just bad investments, it was fraud. Maya had opened credit cards in my parents' names without them knowing. She had forged my father's signature on loan documents. But the sickest part was seeing the bank statements. While I was eating rice and beans in my early 20s, my parents were transferring thousands of dollars a month to Maya for rent support. While I was working 3 jobs, they were paying for her to have a personal trainer. I found a withdrawal from 4 years ago, $10,000. The memo line said, "Maya Dental." I froze. I remembered that date. I had needed a root canal that year. I didn't have dental insurance yet. I had called my mother, crying, in pain, asking to borrow $500. She had told me, "We just don't have it right now, honey. You need to learn to budget for emergencies." 2 days later, they gave Maya 10 grand for veneers. That was the moment the last tiny ember of familial guilt died in my chest. It turned into cold gray ash. I closed the folder and looked up. My parents were sitting on the sofa, holding hands, looking at me like I was a judge. "I've seen enough," I said. "So you'll help?" my father asked, hope rising in his voice. "You'll write the check?" I leaned forward, clasping my hands. "I can fix this," I said. "I have the resources to pay off the debt, pay off the mortgage, and clear the credit cards. I could do it by noon tomorrow." My mother burst into fresh tears. "Oh, thank God, thank God. I knew you were a good girl. I knew you loved us." "But I'm not going to," I finished. The room went dead silent. The air pressure seemed to drop. "Excuse me?" my father said, his face reddening. "I am not going to give you a single dime," I stated clearly. "But you said you could," my mother shrieked. "You just said you have the money." "I do. But this isn't a financial problem. This is a behavioral problem. If I pay this off, Maya learns nothing. You learn nothing. You will just mortgage the house again the next time Maya wants a new Mercedes. This isn't about Maya. This is about us. We will be on the street," my father shouted, standing up. "You made your choice," I said, standing up to meet him. I wasn't intimidated anymore. I was the one with the power. You made a choice every single day for the last 26 years. You chose to invest every penny, every ounce of love, and every shred of support into Maya. You bet the farm on her, literally. "She is your sister. She is a criminal," I countered. "Look at these statements, Dad. She forged your signature. That is a felony. If you want to get out of this debt, you don't need my money. You need to file a police report for identity theft and fraud against Maya Sanders. If you do that, the banks will discharge the fraudulent debt." My mother looked horrified. "Send Maya to prison? We would never. She's just a girl. She made mistakes." "She's 26, I snapped. "I was 26 when I made partner. She is an adult who stole from you." "We won't do it," my father said firmly. "We will not destroy her future." "Then you have destroyed your own," I said calmly. "You are choosing to protect the person who robbed you, and you are asking the victim of your neglect to pay for it. You told me when I was 18 that I had to figure it out. You told me the family resources were for Maya. Well, you were right. You spent all your resources on her. I am not a resource. I am not a backup plan. I am the daughter you forgot until you needed a wallet. Lillian, you are being cruel, my mother cried. Cruel? I laughed. Cruel is telling your daughter you can't help her with a root canal while buying her sister a new smile. Cruel is missing my graduation to fund a vacation for the child who flunked out. I saw the statements, Mom. I saw the dates. I know exactly what I was worth to you. I picked up the box of financial ruin and shoved it toward my father. Take this and get out of my apartment. Lillian, if you do this, if you let us lose the house, we will never forgive you, my father threatened. His face was purple. We will cut you off. I looked at him with genuine pity. You can't cut me off, Dad. I've been cut off since I was 17. You're just finally realizing that I don't need to be plugged back in. They didn't leave immediately. They screamed, they begged. My mother threw herself on the floor. I had to call the doorman. Mr. Henderson, I said into the intercom, watching my parents, I have 2 guests who are refusing to leave. Please send security. The look on my father's face when 2 uniformed security guards escorted them out is something I will burn into my memory forever. It wasn't triumph. It was just closure. The fallout was rapid and public. Without my bailout, the foreclosure proceeded. In a small town, that kind of news travels fast. The Sanders family, pillars of the community, were broke. Because they refused to report Maya for fraud, they were on the hook for everything. They declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy. They lost the house, the big colonial with the pool where Maya used to throw parties I wasn't invited to. They lost their cars. They lost my father's pension because he had cashed out a chunk of it to cover one of Maya's loans that I hadn't even seen in the initial paperwork. And Maya, she had to come back from her retreat when the credit card she was using to pay for it declined. She came home to find the locks changed on the family home and her parents moving into a 2-bedroom apartment in the bad part of town. She tried to call me. I didn't block her immediately because I wanted to see the texts. Lillian, how could you do this to Mom and Dad? You're so selfish. You have so much money and you're just watching them drown. You're a monster. I replied once, I didn't do this to them, Maya. You did. You spent their retirement on handbags and fake followers. Welcome to the real world. I hear Starbucks is hiring. Then I blocked her. The aftermath has been interesting. My parents are currently living on Social Security. My father had to get a job as a greeter at a hardware store to make rent. My mother, who used to turn up her nose at generic brands, is now clipping coupons. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Maya is actually working. She's not an influencer anymore. She's working front desk at a gym. Apparently, she tried to find another rich benefactor, but word gets around. When you bankrupt your own parents, it's a red flag for even the most gullible sugar daddies. The perfect sister myth is dead. The town knows what she did. My parents still try to defend her, telling people that business conditions caused their downfall, but nobody buys it. The neighbors saw the repo trucks. They saw the foreclosure notices. As for me, a few months after the confrontation, I bought a house. It's not in their town. It's a beautiful, modern glass house on a cliff overlooking the ocean. It has a guest suite that I will never use for them. I did one petty thing, though. When the bank auctioned off my parents' house, I had a representative go. I didn't buy the house. It had too much water damage from deferred maintenance. But I bought the contents. I bought the furniture, the china, the framed photos. I had the movers bring it all to a storage unit. I went through it once. I found my old high school debate trophies in a box labeled Misc Junk. I took those. Then I found the Wall of Fame, the framed pictures of Maya. Maya at prom, Maya at graduation, Maya's modeling headshots. I took the frames because they were nice silver. I threw the photos in the trash. Then I donated the furniture to a shelter for runaway teens. I liked the poetic justice of it. The furniture that was once used to exclude me was now comforting kids who had been kicked out by their families. My mother tries to email me sometimes. She sends long, rambling, guilting letters about how hard their life is, how the apartment has drafts, how Dad's back hurts. She usually ends by asking for just a few thousand to help with groceries. I set up a filter. Her emails go directly to a folder I check once a year. I haven't replied. Last week, I was at a charity gala. I was wearing a gown that cost more than Maya's car. A woman approached me, a friend of my mother's from the old country club days. "Lillian?" she asked, looking me up and down. I heard about your family. It's so tragic. Your poor mother says you've abandoned them." I took a sip of my champagne and smiled. "My mother is confused," I said smoothly. "I didn't abandon them. I just finally gave them exactly what they wanted." "What's that?" she asked. "I let them have Maya, all to themselves." I walked away and didn't look back. I have a business to run, and unlike my sister, I earned every cent of the life I'm living. The ledger is balanced, the debt is paid, and I am finally completely free. They spent everything on the wrong investment and expected her to cover the loss. If you want more revenge stories where consequences finally land, subscribe now. This channel is just getting started.